the Australian Defence Force Academy, Brigadier Troy Kansas CSC, and the Rector of the University of New South Wales. This year we proudly celebrate the Australian Defence Force Academy's 40th anniversary, as well as the 125th birthdays of both the Royal Australian Navy and the Australian Army, important milestones that highlight our shared heritage and service. The Australian Defence Force is committed to providing a safe environment for all its employees, contractors and visitors. Please be aware of the uneven paved areas around the Academy to avoid trips and falls. Please do not walk onto the parade ground or gravel surrounds during your visit here today. Please abide by all safety directions given by the staff of the Academy. Should you require first aid treatment or restroom facilities, bathrooms are located in the foyer of the Adams Auditorium, situated to the rear of the concourse. Parents and guardians are to ensure the adequate supervision of accompanying children. In case of an emergency evacuation or serious security incident, follow the directions of uniformed personnel. All unattended items will be reported and may be confiscated and/or removed. There will be a low-level flypast during the course of the parade today. We ask that you look after young children, assistance animals, or anyone that could be affected by this sudden noise. In accordance with government policy, there is no smoking allowed in or near any of the buildings at the Academy. For the comfort of everyone, please refrain from smoking at today's event. In 1974, the Commonwealth Government announced its intention to establish a single tertiary institution for the Defence Force, and construction of the Academy commenced in 1981. The Academy's first trainees began their studies in January 1986, although the official opening by Governor-General Sir Ian Stephen was delayed until the 11th of December 1986 to coincide with the graduation of the first class. The Academy seeks to provide a balanced and liberal university education within a military context and environment with our academic partners, the University of New South Wales. The degrees on offer have steadily grown from the original engineering, science and arts to include business, information technology, computing and cyber, and naval architecture. There are 969 midshipmen and officer cadets on parade today, and of these, 375 joined the Academy only 5 weeks ago. The 6 trainee officer squadrons are comprised of a blend of personnel from the Australian Defence Force services, alongside those of our international training partners from all 3 year groups and university degree streams. Today marks the 40th Chief of the Defence Force Parade conducted by the Australian Defence Force Academy. The drill you will see today supports the Academy's tri-service training environment and is derived from Royal Australian Navy sword drill, Australian Army ceremonial format and words of command, and Royal Australian Air Force foot and static drill. The midshipmen and officer cadets on parade today have refined their standard of drill, dress and bearing during the weeks prior to this parade. The excellent results they have achieved is testament to their enthusiasm, dedication and hard work, and that of the military staff who have trained and supported them. If you wish to show your appreciation at any stage during the parade, you are encouraged to do so. The next call you will hear is the 5-minute warning for the parade, sounded by the bugler.
Private plane.
Shortly, the second and third year trainee officers will march on to the main parade ground to the strains of Scotland the Brave and the Rowan Tree, followed by the first year trainee officers to the sound of Glorious Victory, played by the Australian Defence Force Academy Band, Pipes and Drums, under the command of Warrant Officer Class 2 Benjamin Fixter and the Drum Major Officer Cadet Joshua Parcell. The Academy Band is comprised of volunteer trainee officers and is the largest non-professional band in the Defence Force and the only military unit in Australia that combines pipes, drums and band on a continuous basis. The ADFA tartan worn by the pipes and drums was commissioned in 2013. The colours represent the three services, dark blue and white of the Navy being the sea and their ceremonial uniform, red of the Army remembering those lost or wounded serving our country, sky blue of the Air Force honouring those who have flown in combat and their proud heritage, and the green and gold of Australia to remind all graduates they serve our nation as a member of the profession of arms. Alpha Squadron, being the 2026 Chief of the Defence Force Squadron, will lead the parade and be positioned on your left as you look towards the parade ground. This position right of the line was traditionally known as the vanguard, the place of honour and the greatest danger in battle. The Chief of the Defence Force Parade marks the completion of the familiarisation training that introduces our newest officers to service life and shapes them into teams to work together and support each other as they continue to develop over their 3 years here at the Academy. Our trainee officers will now commence the next phase of their careers, adding academic studies to their military education under the tutelage and guidance of university and ADFA staff to grow and develop them into the future leaders of the Australian Defence Force and the Defence Forces of our partner nations. The third-year midshipmen and officer cadets selected for the 2026 individual leadership appointments will fulfil the parade appointments this morning, as outlined in the programs distributed. During this morning's parade, the reviewing officer, the Chief of the Defence Force, Admiral David Johnston, ACRAN, will be formally received by the parade. Following the reviewing officer's inspection, the parade will march past in quick time and then advance in review order. The reviewing officer will then be invited to address the parade. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please sit back, relax and be proud of the midshipmen and officer cadets on parade in front of you today as the Australian Defence Force Academy presents the 2026 Chief of the Defence Force Parade. The Regimental Sergeant Major of the Australian Defence Force Academy, Warrant Officer Class 1 Brad Foster, OAM CSM, will now march on to the parade ground and march on the squadron markers.
Markers! Attention! Markers! Hey!
The Regimental Sergeant Major will now hand over to the Parade Adjutant, Officer Cadet Caton Limmer. The Parade Adjutant will now post the Divisional Cadet Captains.
Parade! Attention! Parade appointments! Fall and... Fall! Parade! Stand at 8!
The Parade Adjutant will now hand over to the Parade's Second in Command, Officer Cadet Harrison Carr.
Parade! Attention! Parade! Stand at 8!
The Parade's Second in Command will now hand over to the Parade Commander and the Academy Cadet Captain, Officer Cadet Ethan Grills.
Parade! Attention!
The parade commander will now call on the squadron cadet captains to march on the first year midshipmen and officer cadets.
Parade, attention! Squadron cadet captains, march on the first years! First years, quick! Charlie Squadron!
Bravo Squadron!
March! First years, inwards, done.
Ladies and gentlemen, to your immediate front, the Academy's first year midshipmen and officer cadets. The stairs which they have just marched down in under 3 short years, they will march back up again as graduates of the Australian Defence Force Academy. They will now join their respective squadrons.
First years, outwards, done. First years, quick!
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the parade commander will now order the Governor-General's banner onto parade. His Excellency the Governor-General Bill Hayden presented the Governor-General's banner to the Academy on the 14th of December 1995. For those who are able, please be upstanding for the march-on of the Governor-General's banner by Midshipman Jade Ben, Officer Cadet Greg Foster, Midshipman Kane Cody and Officer Cadet Claire Dixon. Do not salute while the banner is marched on, regardless of whether or not the banner passes your immediate front. Once the banner has been marched on to the parade, guests in civilian attire are requested to remove hats and all personnel in uniform are to salute once the banner is in position and the order is given to present arms while the band plays the musical salute, Point of War.
Parade, I turn. Shoot. March on the Governor-General's banner. Parade, General salute, present. Up.
Escorts to the banner! Attention! Banner party! By the centre! Quick!
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated.
Following video first.
I now invite Officer Cadet Shay O'Neill to deliver the Acknowledgement of Country.
Good morning. My name is Officer Cadet Shay O'Neill, and I am a proud Australian Aboriginal woman with ancestral connections to the Barramadigal people on Darra country from the Western Sydney region. I acknowledge the Ngunnawal people as the traditional custodians of the land, waters and skies on which we are gathered for the 2026 Chief of Defence Force Parade. I also acknowledge the Ngunnawal totem and spirit being, Marlian, the wedge-tailed eagle. Marlian is the protector of all living beings on Ngunnawal country and is also identified on the Royal Australian Air Force uniform and the Australian Defence Force crest. As part of the Australian Defence Force, Marlian will protect all who serve in operations through peacetime and war. I pay my respects to elders past and present. I also extend my respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples from other regions whose cultures and histories enrich our Australian identity, and to all non-Indigenous people present. By acknowledging country, we honour this connection and show respect for the custodianship that has existed for thousands of years. Thank you for joining me in this acknowledgement.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commandant of the Australian Defence Force Academy, Brigadier Troy Francis CSC, and the Rector of the University of New South Wales, Canberra, Professor Emma Sparks, will be formally received by the parade.
Parade, attention! Parade, General Salute, present! Up! Parade, attention! Parade, stand at ease.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Reviewing Officer, the Chief of the Defence Force, Admiral David Johnston, ACRAN, will be formally received by the parade.
Parade, attention! Parade, General Salute, present! Up! Parade, attention!
The parade commander will now invite the Reviewing Officer to inspect the parade. As the host officer, the Commandant of the Academy will accompany the Reviewing Officer.
Good morning, sir. The Australian Defence Force Academy is on parade. The parade is ready for your inspection, sir.
To accompany the inspection, the band will play the tunes Highland Cathedral and By Land and Sea. Following his inspection of the parade, the Reviewing Officer will inspect the Academy band pipes and drums before returning to the dais.
Am I going to solid position tomorrow?
Ladies and gentlemen, the parade will now march past in quick time, with the Chief of the Defence Force Squadron leading. You are requested to stand as the Governor-General's banner passes directly in front of you. Guests in civilian attire are requested to remove hats, and members in uniform are to salute. Please be seated after the banner party has marched past your position.
Parade! Close order! March! Parade will move to the right in column of route. Right! Turn!
Having completed the march past, the parade will now prepare for the advance and review order. The significance of this manoeuvre dates back to the 18th century British regiments and is conducted with the colours to the front and centre where the commander is located. The formed body would maintain their battle lines, engaging the enemy with maximum firepower, thwarting any attempts to drive a wedge and infiltrate the defensive line with 2 or more ranks at the open order. With the playing of the March British Grenadiers, the parade will march forward 15 paces, then provide a general salute in the form of a present arms to show that no act of aggression is intended towards the reviewing officer. Please remain seated for the advance and review order.
Parade, open order, march. Parade, inwards. Parade will advance in review order. Parade by the centre. Quick! Parade! General salute! Present! Up! Parade! A 10! Shoot! Parade! Stand at ease! Stand easy!
The reviewing officer is now invited to address the parade.
Good morning. Brigadier Troy Francis, Commandant of the Australian Defence Force Academy, Professor Emma Sparks, Dean and Rector of the University of New South Wales, Canberra, Defence senior leaders, international attachés and advisors, and staff, midshipmen and officer cadets of the Australian Defence Force Academy. I start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. I also recognise the Indigenous Australians who have served or are serving today in our Defence Force. I particularly welcome the families, partners and friends of those on parade, and thank you. This career brings challenges for those who serve and those who support them. It is important we recognise that. And to 374 first-year midshipmen and officer cadets on parade, including 15 international students from 10 nations, congratulations on completing the initial phase of your training. I know for most of you, the last 5 weeks has involved a range of new experiences. Everyone in the ADF, including me, was once in a similar position to you. So let me offer you some reassurance about what lies ahead, including beyond your time at the Academy. I understand how some of you may be feeling: anxious, nervous, wondering, what am I doing? In my first few weeks, I was wondering if the initial uniforms I received would ever fit me. I was assured I would grow into them. Like you, my class was joining an organisation that stood for something greater than ourselves, making a commitment to serve our nation. This shared commitment binds us as a community, regardless of our uniform colour or rank, and it is something to take pride in. Looking at the world in which you start your military service, there are many similarities with that experienced by your senior leaders. In the late 1970s, the Cold War was well underway. The Soviet Union became mired in a 9-year conflict in Afghanistan. Iran would undergo revolution, and there were ongoing territorial disputes in the South China Sea. Today, the rules-based order is under pressure. Russia is mired in a 4-year conflict with Ukraine. There is conflict and uncertainty in the Middle East, and the territorial disputes in the South China Sea remain ongoing. There are, however, important differences that reflect what we have learned. The Defence Force you have joined is an integrated force, more connected than ever before. You will always belong to your service, but you will work, train, and if needed, fight alongside people from across the services. In this demanding environment, our nations need you to thrive as leaders and followers in the ADF. Your careers will involve some constants, including learning, adaptability, resilience, and teamwork, which is why this period at the Academy is an important and influential time in your lives. I encourage you to make the most of it. Make new friends, particularly with our international partners, and form bonds with people you may train, deploy, and rely on during your career. No matter how long you serve, this group of you as an academy will be a group that supports and encourages each other throughout your lives. You are joining a Defence Force with a long and proud history, and each of you will leave your mark on it. That may sound daunting, but you have already started. How you respond to the challenges you face, how you interact with your peers and the staff here, establishes the foundation of your reputation. Keep this in mind and act in a manner your future self will be proud of. Your journeys as stewards of our Defence Force starts here. I have faith in you that you will continue the ADF's legacy and improve our organisation for those who follow you. If in doubt, turn to our values of service, courage, respect, integrity, and excellence for guidance. I offer you my sincere best wishes and good luck for both your studies here and your future careers as leaders of our Defence Force. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the salute to the nation and the playing of the musical salute Advance Australia Fair. The salute to the nation is symbolic of the introduction of the first-year midshipmen and officer cadets into the Australian Defence Force. Personnel in uniform are reminded to salute.
Parade! Parade, attention! Parade, present! Up!
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The parade will now farewell the reviewing officer.
Great! General salute! Present! Obs! Great! Attention! Great! Stand at ease!
The parade will now farewell the Commandant of the Australian Defence Force Academy and the Rector of the University of New South Wales, Canberra.
Great! Attention! Great! General salute! Present! Up! Great! Attention! Great! Stand at ease!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remain standing as the Governor-General's banner is marched off the parade. Guests in civilian attire are requested to remove hats and all personnel in uniform are to salute after the parade is given the order to present arms while the band plays the musical salute, Point of War.
Great! Attention! March off the Governor-General's banner! Parade! General salute! Present! Up!
Escorts to the banner! Attention! Banner party! By the centre! Quick!
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. The parade commander will now hand the parade back over to the parade adjutant.
Adjutant! Great! Attention!
The parade adjutant will now call out the parade appointments.
Parade appointments! Fall out! Parade! Stand at 8!
The parade adjutant will hand over to the regimental sergeant major.
RSM!
The parade will now prepare to march off the parade ground. Guests are requested to remain seated until all midshipmen, officer cadets and the academy band, pipes and drums have left the parade ground.
Parade! Attention! Parade! Post order! Out! Parade will move to the left in column of route. Left! Hand! Right! On the right! Wait!
Ladies and gentlemen, as the trainee officers are returning their weapons, the Australian Defence Force Academy Band will now provide entertainment. It is requested that you remain in your seats until this is completed.
Academy band, pipes and drums. By the centre. Way!
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's parade. On behalf of the staff, trainees and the Commandant, we thank you for your attendance at the 2026 Australian Defence Force Academy's Chief of the Defence Force Parade. We are proud that this event commences the Australian Defence Force Academy's 40th anniversary of training our future leaders of the Navy, Army and Air Force and our international partners. The Commandant invites all ticket holders for light refreshments in the Academy Cadets Mess. Family and friends of the Thank you and good morning.